Hi everybody, welcome back to Mark Anthony's Music Picks. It's been 3 months. I decided after my last dub techno episode, which I released right around Christmas, just to take a break from making content and just relax for a little bit. I have a few things I want to cover along with the main core topic of the episode today, which is going to be dirty minimal and dirty tech house. I just grabbed I made a couple of recent acquisitions in that genre that really blew my mind, and I was like, okay, I definitely feel inspired enough to make an episode at this point. But the other thing I wanted to talk about was I got the Philips Hue lights in my room, and I turned those on, and I'm using the Tokyo theme. So I thought it'd be fun just to like switch up the color of the background. I have so much fun messing with those lights. Like they're kind of expensive. Maybe I think they're like 40 or 50 or $60 a piece. But like if you kind of like chip away at it, you buy one here, two there. This room I'm in here has 5 lights overhead. I was lucky. The room I'm a renter, and the room already had overhead lighting, and I just like unscrewed the generic light bulbs and put these in. But I absolutely love turning these on at night and just like setting a theme. It's really been fun. And I also wanted to point out, I got some new monitors. I know you guys sometimes like to like talk about equipment. I love equipment. I get like so excited hooking up speakers. Sometimes it makes me think maybe I should have been one of those guys that travels around to like gigs and concerts and clubs and just like arranges sound systems, because like I could mess around with speaker wires and like tinkering with the settings all day. I had Mackie MR8s, which are like I got those back in 2007. They're like kind of like lower to mid-level beginner speakers in the similar class of like your classic KRK 5s and 8s and all that stuff. I had those for a while, and at low volume they were fine. I actually can't tell. I wouldn't be able to tell the Mackies apart from these new speakers that I got at low volumes, because like they did a good enough job. I'm not an audiophile, so I mean maybe I am with this many records, but they did a good enough job. Where the Mackies did not really cut it for me was if I'm trying, it always like screws up the background. I'm trying to like get out of the way. Yeah. It's always like reversed, and makes me double think. But the Euphonia, right? The Euphonia does better at higher volumes. And I noticed with the Mackies, if I got the Euphonia up to like 12 o'clock on the master volume, which was like decently into the white but not into the red on the meters, the Mackies just couldn't keep up with it. I think I forget the exact wattage on the Mackies. It might have been like 110 or 125 each, something like that, which is like loud enough because this is a small room, but I wanted them to kind of like I wanted to be able to like blister my ears if nobody was home, and I wanted to just like have it scream. So I ended up buying M.A.M.P Audio S2Vs, which I did a lot of research. I was prompting the AI on what I like, the use case, the size of the room, the traits that I wanted in the speaker. I wanted it to be easy for me to adjust it, not with a computer or anything. I just wanted to like be able to go to the back of the speaker and tinker with the like the settings and potentially like change the volume. My room's not perfectly symmetrical, so the speaker on the one side over here is further away, that I'm pointing at is further away from my head than this speaker that I'm pointing at. So I had to like get the decibel level correct so that while I'm DJing, it's even, right? So anyways, if you were looking for kind of like, hey, I'm looking for a high-end monitor, I want to get out of that like beginner class that you can get at Guitar Center or any of those other like generic music stores that you can go to, I really recommend the M.A.M.P Audio S2V. When you turn this shit up, oh my gosh, dude. When you turn this up, it turns this room into a nightclub. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. The way that those highs and mids sound, especially in like the tracks, the type of tracks that I'm going to be presenting to you in this episode, it is a whole other level. And I'm glad that I finally just like sucked it up. Like I saved up money for a long time, and I just sucked it up, and I bought them. They were like pretty expensive, but those things absolutely fucking rip. So yeah, highly recommend that. And now getting on to the topic of the episode, I said it was going to be dirty, minimal, and tech house. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I still shop at Juno, and when I think of like the genres that I'm still hitting up on Juno, the one that I hit, I probably say like 90% of my purchases at this point are in the minimal slash tech house genre that they have. I've completely abandoned modern progressive music. I don't really mess with deep house anymore. I don't mess with new disco. Every once in a while, like somebody like Roger Garrison, he recently did a deep house EP called the Come Down EP. So I grabbed that. I love Roger, and it's somewhat in the deep, somewhat of a hybrid of deep house and tech house, but that's like about as far as I'll stretch into that domain at this point. I've kind of lost my luster for pure house, and I've gone into like the darker genres. And I would say probably like 75 or 80% of what I buy at this point is minimal and tech house, because it's like fun. I really like DJing it at night by myself, and I like getting in that zone that you get into with like the loopiness, the loops of the tech house, and just kind of like time traveling, and you're like, whoa, what happened? It's been 2 hours and I've been in this room. I didn't even realize it. So that's a genre for me at this point, and I've just been crushing it and having a really good time with it. So my first pick for you here is a label that is kind of like interestingly out of New Zealand, and I guess I kind of like am partial to it because I was lucky enough to take a trip to New Zealand right before the pandemic hit. We got back on our flight very luckily 3 days before they shut everything down for the lockdowns and all that stuff. Like it was like right when the virus started, like people started testing positive for it, and we got back just in time. I mean, it would have sucked if we got stuck over there, or actually it might have been pretty good. But if you ever get the chance to visit New Zealand, it's got some of the coolest geography and some of the friendliest people that you'd ever meet. So if you ever get a chance to venture over there, I highly recommend it. So this is the Sirius B, or I'm sorry, the series that this is in is Sirius B, but the label is called Sounds of Sirius, and it's a New Zealand tech house label. I think it's got maybe like 10 to 15 releases at this point. And I would say it's like kind of like a slightly commercial leaning tech house label, but there's enough dirt on it that I kind of just went through and added them all to my want list. And I've been like picking and choosing. Like some of them are a little bit too down the middle for me, or a little bit plain Jane, but I thought this one was really stellar. This is by a rando artist, at least to me, Albert Azar, and it's just kind of just like this plain white label, but this whole EP rocks here. I almost went with the long track, the track that has the entire side to itself, but I think it's the A side. That one's very good, like super nice percussion on that. But I ended up going with the B side, B1. It's called A Bad Man, and one of the things that I really felt when I was listening to it is the piano stabs that are in it. It reminds me so much of Avatism. Remember when Avatism blew up in 2012 and he was dropping that like filthy, he just had like his brand of tech house in 2012, and he just kind of like came on the scene, dropped like 10 bombs and flew away. And I think he eventually ventured into techno and then some like weird breaky stuff, and then he was out. He'd done what he was going to do. But this reminded me very much of like the whole Resolute and the feeling of being on a dance floor and it's after hours, and you're just like getting lost, like literally getting lost in the music. In A Bad Man, there's a really nice whispery vocal. It's a girl talking, and I think it's in Spanish or Portuguese. I can't tell, but it's kind of like indistinct and in the background. But that little like whispery, chattery thing, there's just something about it that just takes you off to that extra level. So check this out. Check out the whole Sounds of Sirius label, and I think you'll find that there's some serious winners on here. My next pick for you is not not. I guess he's underground, right? Is Thomas Melchior still underground? I think he is. I don't think anybody in the mainstream knows who the hell Melchior is. But if I looked at my collection, by the way, my friend that runs Discogs Enhancer, that built it, he has a new collection analyzer that's just releasing today. So for Discogs Enhancer users, there's going to be a new way to analyze your collection and get analytics on it and look and see like where your tastes and preferences are. So look for that update to come out. I think he said it's coming in the next 24 to 48 hours. So if you're subscribed to Discogs Enhancer, you'll be able to like perform analytics about like what I'm about to talk about here. But I was going to say that my favorite artist, I think like my most owned artist is probably Deep Chord. I have at least 50 Rod Modell in his ambient takes, his Deep Chord, his Echo Space, all that stuff, every remix he ever did. I've got almost all of them. I don't have like the color variations of the original DC series. But in second place, I'm confident, is Thomas Melchior. And I wanted to feature this kind of like quiet black label because I thought it was pretty cool. This is the last release that Thomas did on Aspect Music, which is his label, and he did it in 2021. Actually, there was some other like compilation that came out a couple years later on Aspect, but to me this is kind of like the last one of like new original music. And for some reason, I mean, I was following Aspect really hard, and somehow I just like screwed up and I didn't get the alert for it on Juno, and I missed it, and I didn't know it was out there. And one day I was looking through Aspect Music, and I was like, yo, what's this Aspect single-sided mashup EP? And it's this here. If you can read the label, it's Back in Black, and the catalog number is Aspect X. It's a remake of Thomas's, one of his most famous tech house tracks from 2002 called Let's Go Deep, fused with Aphex Twin, and it was purely ambient, like super soft ambient. I think it's called Stone in Focus, which is I think like just a 10-minute like super chill. If you wanted to bring your whole psyche down and just relax and just like zone out to like a super bass level, you would be able to achieve that with the Aphex Twin record. I'm not an Aphex Twin guy. I missed the boat on him. That's like, to me, that's like an overseas thing that happened while I was busy listening to tacky New York and New Jersey shit when I was in my early 20s. So I like, admittedly, I missed the boat on Aphex. The only thing that I have of his is the Selected Ambient Works, which is the first one. And that one's really good. So anyways, Melchior fused the Aphex Twin with one of his older hits, and it came out as like as a total gem, because the original Let's Go Deep does not have melodic components. It just has like a super badass bass line that I'm confident, I never heard it out, but would blow the club up. And if you know, when I was listening to this and recording the sample for this, if you like this type of bass line, that super party tech house kind of bass line, check out, I'll put a picture of it here. There's a record that bass line is similar to. It's Tyler Lewis, and it's called Right, like right. And I think it's featuring Vernon Douglas, or it's Vernon Douglas featuring Tyler Lewis, Right. But yeah, super cool bass line in both of those records. And this was hard to get. This was sold out, and thankfully Thomas came back and did a repress of it. So there's still copies. As of the time that I'm publishing this episode, there's still copies of this sort of like meandering around. You could probably find one at like Dex or HHV or any of those shops like overseas. You might have to spend 30 or 40, but I think it's worth it. My third pick for you, I stumbled onto this one just going back into my old boxes recently. This is by an artist called Siopis, and Siopis is the last name of Janis Siopis, who was a tech house producer from about 2008 to, or maybe 2011 to 2013, or no, this is an '08 record. I think it was 2008 to maybe 2013, and he was just like in the scene, making great tracks, just left. Maybe he got an alias or something, and I lost track of him. I don't know. But this is released on Get Physical, and Get Physical to me, mostly miss. I don't have it up in front of me. I'm just going to wing it. I think Get Physical started in 2003, around that time. And I'm sure, right, I'm kind of like shitting on their catalog, but I'm sure if you went back through, I could find probably 10 tracks out of that label that I like. But man, when they were like in the minimal scene, and it was like Mandy and Book of Shade and all these like wacky dudes making this like crazy drugged out music, I couldn't get with it, man. Like, I never went to Ibiza. I wasn't partying, listening to this like super weird stuff. And I think at this point, if you own a bunch of Get Physical, you're probably looking to unload it, right? Like, I don't think a lot of it aged well. This one being an exception, though. It's an '08 record, right? So you're gonna hear some of the effects and the dazzle on top of the track, like during the breakdown. It kind of reveals its 2008-ness to you, to the listener. But in the track that I chose, Penny from the Lane, it's not about like the decorations, it's about the bass line. And the bass line in this, the vocal, I think it's one guy doing the vocal, and his voice is changed into different pitches. So when it first comes in, it's low, and then it comes in at like a mid-range where it's like maybe just got like a little bit of auto-tune on it, but it's not like pitched down, and kind of like a nonsensical vocal, but it's like jibber jabber. If you were like, hey, I'm gonna try to figure out the lyrics to this song, good luck, man. I think some of the words might be like inverted, or the syllables might be like juxtaposed on purpose just to make it like bobbity boobity. Like you have no idea. I've never been able to figure out what he's saying, but it's like you still sing along to it anyway, shamelessly. So anyways, one of the shining stars in the entire Get Physical catalog, Penny from the Lane, and probably, in my opinion, maybe one of like the top 3 records that ever came out on that label.
Step back, vocal loan, penny vocal song, penny off a lane, paint a vocal toe song. See making 80, vocal no ready, sample of moco, lo wacko record local. Step back, vocal loan, penny vocal song, penny off a lane, paint a vocal toe song. See making 80, vocal no ready, sample of moco, lo wacko record local. Step back, vocal loan, penny vocal song, penny off a lane, paint a vocal toe song. See making 80, vocal no ready, sample of moco, lo wacko record local. Step back, vocal loan, penny vocal song, penny off a lane, paint a vocal toe song. See making 80, vocal no ready, sample of moco, lo wacko record local.
I made a comment on this artist recently on Discogs. The artist is Ben Kaczor, if I'm pronouncing that right. Kaczor. Ben is a techno artist that I think just started releasing maybe in the last 4 to 5 years. I think his catalog goes back to 2021, maybe 2022. I made a comment on this album. This is the Petrovo Uho album by Ben Kaczor, and it's on Dial. I stumbled. Well, first of all, I got lucky as shit getting this. I got super lucky. So 2 copies of this came into stock on Juno just last week or 2 weeks ago, and they were selling for like $150 or $120 on Discogs. And I liked the track Tohatsu. I liked the track Tohatsu so much that I was thinking about paying like the stupid shark price. And I was like, nah, I can't do it. Like, there's so much other stuff that I could buy with $120. And then like Juno just got two of them, and I was like on my phone in my inbox when the alert came in, and by the time I bought it, somebody else had already like hawked the first one, and I got the second one. And if anybody else was trying to buy that record that day, I'm sorry, man. I'm the one that got it, but I guess it's in safe hands too. So, anyways, I discovered this messing around on Discogs, and I realized that one of the tracks that Ben Kaczor made called Kronos sampled an old trance record. He took like a really unique sound from an old trance record. It was Chris Raven's "I Know You Love Me Too," and it was the Van Bellen remix that had this kind of like clock ticking sound. And Ben made that into a track called Kronos, and Kronos is like the Latin for the word time. So anyways, I commented on that. Somebody replied to me and they were like, hey, can you make a Ben Kaczor, if I'm pronouncing his name right, episode? And, you know, I actually considered it, and I was like, you know, Ben, for the most part, is making techno that's like a little bit out of my wheelhouse. I do think he's like a super talented producer, but I didn't have enough like ammo of his to actually make a whole episode out of it. But I do think he's super talented. And my favorite track that I've heard from him, like by far, I mean, this shit that I'm about to show you is like one of the most mind-blowing minimal tracks that I've ever heard. On two levels. First of all, the bass is just one of those things where it's like, this is a track that needs bass bins. You need to be playing this in a place or a room that has bass. If you're trying to listen to this with pansy speakers or something, it's not going to work. You need that like hitting you in the chest. You need it like vibrating your head. That's the kind of like relentless bass that this has. It's absolutely crazy. And what sets this off to like makes it unique, would absolutely crush the after hours, is the tones that are hitting. It's like a 3-note melody, like do 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 do. It just loops that. What's that, like 4 notes? But it just loops it and loops it. It's like a hearing test. When you were a kid, they would put the hearing test on, and you'd have to like put your hand up and hear it. And it's just like, it's in that like weird, it's like a weird tone, but it just absolutely crushes. Like that weird melody and the bass underneath, that's all you need. It's like minimal perfection. So to me, if this is like the best Ben Kaczor that I've heard ever. If anybody has other tracks by this man, I mean, I know he's really talented, recommend them to me. Let me know what else I need to check out. Super badass album here, and hopefully Dial represses this, because I think other people need to hear it. Man, I'm talking a lot today. Last one for today. I'm still heavy on the Romanian music, and I bought a lot of Played By. Played By is the label. It's a Romanian label. I'm going to show you the box. They have a box. I think it was called Long Play 2. Yeah, Long Play 2. This is the back of the box set. This is the front. And you can see that's the label, Played By with no space. Romanian label. Really dark stuff. Like if you like artists like Liz, like I think Liz is featured on Played By, along with a lot of the other like heavy hitting like big names in the Romanian scene. And it's color coded. It's a kind of like color coded inners, and I'll try to like fan them out here for you. So there's like brown, yellow, green, and the one I went for, it's the last track on the last record, the pink record. It's Christy Kleeblev. If you can pronounce this, you're a better human being than I am. Hold on. Come on. All right, I'll just put you can't even see it through the plastic. Oh, there it is. Christy Kleeblev, featuring the Choir of Milagros a cappella, Until the End. I thought this was the best track in the entire set. I loved it for, well, I think it's interesting that Romanians adopted breakbeats, right? Like, because when you think of like minimal and tech house, the last thing you think of is like a breakbeat, but a lot of Romanian artists dabble in breakbeats. It's like it's part of the palette for that sound, and I think it's good. It mixes up what could otherwise be like pretty stale, and the vocal in here of like it's almost like children singing is just so hooky and catchy. It's an unbelievable sample, and I think a moment of genius for this artist Christy to drop that and decide to feature that into this track here. So amongst a at least 4-star box set, maybe a 4.5 star, I would say. Definitely the best track, and I think a great way to close out this episode. Really haunted shit that would get it done in the after hours. All right, I know this was a long episode. Thank you for staying with me. I hope you enjoy the samples here, and I'll see you next time. Take care.